Welcome to another episode of Community Chat. My name is Kevin Tocci, and I will be your host for not only this conversation, but for a series of chats that we're going to be having with the candidates that are going to be on the September 21st ballot. If you're not aware, there is going to be a special election to fill an open seat on the select board. That again is Saturday, September 21st, and those elections being held at the Beaverbrook. Now, if you have any questions in regards to your voting status, where to vote or how to vote, precinct, any of that, contact the town clerk's office. Very easy to do. And I'll repeat that, of course, at the end, just as a reminder. Again, coming up on Saturday, September 21st, if you need to find more information, the town clerk's office. Today, we are privileged to be speaking with one of those candidates. We have Mr. Bill Cormier joining us. William Cormier, welcome to Community Chat.
Thanks for having me, Kevin.
We don't want to assume everybody knows who you are, but for those who don't, and being a candidate, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm 52 years old. I live on Olson Street with my family, two sons, Ryan and James, one at Woodsdale and one at the middle school. And my lovely wife, Linda. We moved here about 6 years ago due to the fact that we hit a rough spot in life. I became ill, and we hit a rough spot. While I was in the hospital, my wife found an apartment on North Ave, and we became Abington residents. In the beginning, had no intentions on staying here, but the community reached out to us and became part of us. And we decided to stay. We bought a house on Olson Street, and that's about it.
Okay. What led you to want to run for select board? And if you are successful, what are some of the goals that maybe you've already set for yourself?
Well, I've always served the town, as you know. I'm a water commissioner. I've been a sewer commissioner in Abington, and I'm also on Park and Rec. I also volunteer down at Griffin's Dairy. So I have a interest in serving the people of Abington. And it just seems like a natural progression to move up into the selectman's seat, because I feel the town needs somebody with experience in municipal government to help lead, and who will also work with the current board on objectives moving forward.
You kind of already answered my next question, which is how long have you lived here? Why did you move here? But also part of that question is what do you do to support local Abington businesses? Are you somebody who is a big believer in local business?
Yes, local and the small businesses. I can tell you, I frequent a lot of restaurants. I'm sure you could tell. Pizza. My kids love pizza, so we're always out. But not only that, Cape Cod Lumber. I support anybody in business in Abington because they are giving back to the community, just like I want to give back to the community. And if we don't support them, we're going to lose tax revenue on top of a good business.
Let's talk about what the role of a select board member is, or selectman is. Have you had a chance to either look at the town charter or get kind of an idea from various sources as to what the role is here in Abington of a select board member?
I am very familiar with the town charter. Actually, I reached out to Rick Collins last night with a charter question, ironically enough. And as far as the Board of Selectmen, I've attended selectmen's meetings for years, even when I lived in Rockland. I'm very involved in town government, and I believe that the selectmen should participate with not only department heads, but the residents as well. It's important that the residents know they have a voice on the Board of Selectmen. and I hopefully will be that voice.
Okay. Let's talk financially. The early forecast for fiscal year 2026 is that we could see a significant shortfalls, which could lead to cuts or maybe even layoffs. Would you be in favor of the town putting forth a Proposition 2.5 override? Or should the town make the necessary cuts to balance the budget without harming essential services?
This is a tough question. And I know the cherry sheets are not looking good for next year. I won't say I won't support proposition override.
Yep.
However, I will do everything in my power to not have to need one. But we cannot cut our police, we cannot cut the fire, and we need to look at possibly adding to the DPW. I mean, John Stone is short-staffed. We need to, everybody wants to complain about the streets. You got to increase the budget, but I don't think we're going to be able to do it next year, but I'd like to stay at least level funded. I mean, we cannot go without services. I mean, veteran services, it goes beyond public safety. I mean, veterans, elderly, we need to encompass all that.
Okay. Trash and waste are also a couple of items that currently are have to take up their share of finances for the fiscal 25 budget, and it's going to promise to be a sizable expense come fiscal 26. Should the town explore user fees as a way to offset those growing costs, or stay with the current system?
I'm never in favor of raising fees. Obviously, we're paying taxes now, and it's included in that tax base. However, I also understand that the cost of hauling trash and disposing of it is on the rise. As I know some trashmen, or trash businesses, I should say. And again, another tough question, Kevin, and I appreciate that. But I would like to see it stay in the tax base because, I mean, bulk items, sure, charge for bulk items, but we're already paying taxes. Let's keep it as part of the tax base. And the residents, I mean, they deserve a little bit of break here and there if we can give it to them.
Okay. Water is essential, especially when it comes to economic development. Abington has a couple of different problems when it comes to water. Making purchases when it comes to filters to try to eliminate PFAS in water. Also supply and demand. What are your thoughts on this issue and any possible solutions or ideas to help with these problems?
Well, I can tell you as the chairman of the Abington Board of Water Commissioners, I am actively advocating for both those. Our superintendent, Crystal Cameron, is doing a great job trying to mitigate the PFAS, and the project has started. The filtration plant project has broken ground and started, and will be done in a few years. It's a lengthy process, unfortunately.
Right.
But we're on the move. We've also talked about adding wells at Myers Ave, at least one more, to increase the capacity. And we've looked at other options of possibly getting into MWRA, and we're looking into that to not to supplement the water. And we're currently working on all those issues at the and the PFAS issue is the biggest, obviously.
Well, it's worth noting that hooking up to MWRA would come at a cost. Not only probably as to become part of them, but also to hook up, and depends on where you would have to dig to be able to hook up, whether it's Weymouth or another neighboring community, to be able to kind of hook into the system itself. So it's interesting that you bring up MWRA.
Well, there's several communities looking into it. It was actually, I believe, offered to us.
Yep.
And Crystal's working on that. Crystal does great things down there.
My understanding is they have a sizable aquifer.
Yes.
That can accommodate additional communities and their needs.
And that may help us with the Union Point, Southfield, whatever it's being called these days, complex with their water issue, because right now we cannot give them the water they request.
Okay. If you are elected to become a board member, what are your thoughts on how the town and the departments deliver their services, and how do you see yourself becoming a part of that?
I would regularly meet with the department heads. I think it's important as a leader not to be involved, not to try to critique them, but to know what's going on. They know better than anybody how their department is supposed to run. And I am just here to, again, I would be the voice of the residents. If there were any concerns or whatnot, I would bring that to the department head. Like I said, I'm not looking to micromanage any departments or anything, but I think we need to really start having interactions at the Board of Selectmen level with other departments and other, not only departments, but other committees and commissions, school committee and whatnot.
Okay. You mentioned Southfield Union Point. We all know it as the former Naval Air Station. And there's another new master developer. This, I guess, seems to be a little bit more promising than previous master developers who have come in and offered how they're going to develop that parcel of land that is shared by 3 communities. What are your thoughts on Southfield moving forward, and how Abington's parcel of land is developed moving forward?
My number one concern is providing public safety. How, if they build residents in there, which we need housing, how is that gonna impact our public safety?
I was going to ask, and what I probably didn't ask additionally is, and do you see it as to, should that parcel land be predominantly commercial? Should it be residential, senior housing, or maybe, and I know there's a desire to kind of keep a nature component in there, conservation, maybe a town forest.
I'm for residential because, as you know, and many people know, we have a housing crisis in this part of the state. Not only a housing crisis, but an affordable housing crisis.
Yes.
We need to find places for seniors, and we also need to find places for families that just living at the median income. So I'm for residential over there. However, that being said, we need to look into how we're going to get them water, the public service, and how, if we build residential with children, how that's going to affect the school department. We need to look at the big picture, not just the tax revenue.
It's interesting you mentioned housing, because that's my next question looks at Route 18, the newly expanded Route 18 from a 2-lane roadway to, well, it's a 4-way highway. You said it well, and that is that in this state, there's a major concern. There's a shortage when it comes to housing, a lack of affordable housing or homes. What are your thoughts as to maybe looking to Route 18 to maybe a zoning change for housing, or more so concentrating on luring national chains to take up residents, which again, business equals tax dollars that can be put to good use here in the town?
Well, I served on the housing partnership in Rockland and helped write their plan. So, gonna go with housing. Not to push away business, because we need business too, but we need housing in this area. We need to make sure, especially senior housing, the wait list is incredible for senior housing. And we need to reach our 10% so we can have a housing plan in Abington. And we have a committee that's working hard to do so, but we have to encourage growth to maintain and get people off that list that deserve to be in affordable housing.
Okay. I'm going to kind of trend now towards education. We'll start with the South Shore Technical High School, whatever it's being called these days. They're looking to build a new school. And they're seeking about from the membership towns to build a new school in January. Do you support their endeavor? And do you feel that taxpayers should also do the same?
Again, and it's unfortunate that all these taxes are going to increase all at once. But I do believe that we need to fund the South Shore VOTEC. My son was a big advocate over there, and he did great things, and it really helped his life come together. Not college is not for every student. We need that vocational education aspect in our area. I'm for it. However, we have to start watching our tax dollars. But unfortunately, that school needs to be replaced, rebuilt, and I'm for it.
Okay. Well, let's stay with replacing and rebuilding. Now that one of the key capital projects that has been long talked about, replacing the DPW buildings and building a new fire station, is moving forward and is in the planning stages, the development and planning stages. The next capital project that some are questioning is, should there be a move to replace the Beaverbrook and Wooddale schools because of their age and their deterioration. Do you think that this is a project that the town should be looking to in the near future, or do you think it's something that should be held off until the financial window, the fiscal window, looks a bit clearer?
I would say that we should hold off for a few years to see where we're going with the next fiscal year and the next few fiscal years, I should say, because it's not going to be a quick recovery, as we all know. However, the town should be exploring, is there grants out there, etc., from the education world. If there are grants and they're something that like we can't pass up, then maybe yes, we should look into it, because those schools are definitely aging. Like my son just left Beaverbrook and now in Woodsdale, and I know firsthand what the schools are looking like. We definitely need to look into the future, but I think we should hold off a little bit if we can, unless we come upon a grant that's going to cover a lot of the money. Then I'm for it.
Okay. What is the town's biggest need or known issue, and what should town officials be doing to address it?
I'd say one of our biggest issues is the PFAS issue, and the water commissioners and the superintendent are working diligently to resolve that. That's the biggest buzz around town, is why can't we drink the water? We can drink the water. I don't know where that's coming from, but that is one of the biggest buzzes. The other is the fiscal year coming up. It's going to be tough, and we have to watch out for cutting. We can't cut services. Well, like I said, the DPW is already a bare minimum. Fire and police, their calls are increasing, and with the same staffing that they've had for years. We need to maintain what we have, and that's the biggest issue. I know it hasn't hit yet, but it's going to hit, and it's going to hit hard. And we cannot afford to have layoffs in those departments. We have to do what we can to try to either get ahead of it, be proactive instead of reactive, and figure out a plan.
Okay. Any other topic or issue that we did not touch upon during our conversation, or maybe something that we discussed earlier, and maybe you'd want to expand upon any of the earlier questions that I asked you?
I see a lot of improvement in town. The field project down at the Veterans Field there, great. Everything's going good. We just have to start watching the future. We cannot keep going to the taxpayers to fund projects all at once. We're taxing people out of town. I've heard more and more from seniors that they can't afford to live here anymore. We have to start watching the taxes. With that said, we also have to make sure we are providing the services that these people need to stay safe, to get their children into the education they need. And I just can't stress that enough. We're coming into really tough financial times. And I don't know if anybody else knows this. I mean, I understand because I'm dealing with the water department, park and rec. I know what we're coming into. It's just going to be tough times, and we have to get ahead of it instead of being behind it.
Folks want to find out more about your campaign. They want to get involved, and maybe they might have a question they want to ask you directly. Do you have a website? Do you have an email address? Or maybe they can find you on social media?
They can find me on Facebook, William Cormier for Abington Selectmen. Or they can reach out to my email, billforabington@aol.com.
Now, is that is it the number 4 or FOR?
FOR.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Clever
Well, it just
play.
popped up on screen. So, well, I want to thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You got it. I want to thank you for tuning into a program like this. It's designed to better inform you as to where the candidates stand when it comes to the municipality, the town of Abington, and we hope that we have helped to better inform you about each candidate as you watch these interviews. And a reminder, as I promised, as I said earlier, if you're not sure of your voting status, if you're eligible to vote, where to vote, how to vote, what your precinct you are, anything in regards to that early voting, contact the town clerk's office. That's your easiest way. They'd be happy to give you the information to help the process much simpler for you. And until our next conversation, have yourself a great day.